So we do have a very special guest today. Very, very special guest. And today, that's what we're going to be doing. We're going to be talking to Krassenstein from Static City Games Game Studio, as well as from the Krassenstein Twitch channel. There you go. He even has his own command because he's just so damn fancy. Right there. And yes, thanks, Aaron. Yep, podcast right there. Yes, we have a beautiful guest today. Today, we're going to be talking to Krass about how to start your own game dev studio. And I think this is all like really, really important, especially on Twitch. A lot of people are here trying to understand the ways of what to do on Twitch, how to honestly make games and all that fun stuff. Wait, can I have my own command? No. But yes, and if you're interested in asking Krass or myself a question, all you have to do is do !Q, add your question, and at the end of the stream, Krass and I will be answering all your questions right here live on the stream. So without further ado, I think we should go ahead and get our guest in here, huh? Thoughts, concerns? Should we just do it? Should we just do it? Let's just do it. Let's get Krass up in here. And yeah, folks, we're gonna have to do some mic audio stuff, so bear with me while we get this started. Dude,
what's up?
Welcome. Thanks for being here, man.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, it's awesome. For real, it's awesome to have you. So as we do for every single podcast stream that we start on, we always like to ask some quick fire questions to get everyone together, to get everyone knowing about the special guest that we have on today. So I'm gonna ask you 5 questions.
Let's
Just
do
simple, quick. Is that cool? Be real
yeah,
easy.
man.
All right.
Do
Cool. So first thing we're gonna do. DK. First question is, what is your favorite gaming platform?
PC.
Wow, that was really good. So like, literally just nothing else, just PC.
Yeah, I mean, I'll use a controller on PC, so it's like having everything all at once, right?
Okay.
So,
yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense.
Yeah. No, I'm a PC gamer for life, man.
Yeah, I think I would agree with you. I feel like you could literally do everything, except though the new gen consoles that are coming out.
Well, I do have a Switch, so like, I have a Switch because I want to be a Switch dev as well. So.
Yeah, so you have to do it for your work.
So.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. All right. Next question. What was the first game you ever played?
Well, the first one I remember playing would be Super Mario World.
Super Mario World. Okay.
First one I remember playing. Yeah.
I feel like it's a really hard question.
3 years old or something.
Oh, snap. So you played your first game when you were 3. Nice.
Oh, yeah, because my mother played a lot of Super Mario World, and then I deleted her save, so she never played games again.
Oh my god, that story literally just took a turn for the worst.
Yeah, no,
I deleted her save and she never.
I didn't know what I was doing. I was 3, right? So that's the only thing I remember is that she like used to tell me that she's like, yeah, I used to play video games with you, and then you deleted my save file in Mario.
Oh my god, that is.
Sorry, I fidget with a lot of things, and I play with my keyboard.
That's cool.
So
that's cool.
I have like this magnetic thing on the front of the keyboard. So.
Wow, that's actually pretty funny. Nice. Okay, next one. This is one that you and I can definitely relate on. What's your favorite item off the Taco Bell menu?
Favorite one right now?
Yes, right now.
The nacho box.
Nacho. Oh, tell us a little bit more about what's in that nacho box.
$5 nacho box, man. It's like for $5, it's like a big old cardboard box of like meat and cheese and pico and
okay,
sour cream and guac.
And now I guess the better question is, what was your favorite item before Taco Bell destroyed everything on their menu?
Ooh, the quesarito.
They got rid of the quesarito?
The steak quesarito.
Yo, rip. I used to love quesaritos when I ate cheese. Good times.
Yeah, the steak quesarito was great.
Awesome, cool. Now 2 more for you. Next one is, if you could play one game for the rest of your life, what would that game be? And that's the only game you could play.
Ooh. It's a good question, man.
Yeah.
I jump between a lot of games.
Yeah, I feel like especially someone who plays games a lot, that's really hard. Like, what's the one game that stuck out?
Dude. Chrono Trigger.
Okay.
I can play that game on repeat.
Damn, okay. Can you tell us a little bit more about it? I personally don't know what it is. I don't know if anyone in chat knows.
Chrono Trigger is a game on Super Nintendo, and it is one of the best JRPG brought to America RPGs to ever exist.
Okay.
everything about it is perfect. There's actually
Wow.
nothing wrong with that game. There's nothing wrong with the music, or there's no like the pacing's not bad. Everything in that game is perfect.
Okay. Very
So I
nice.
get the game over and over again. I think forever.
Huh. Yeah, that's actually pretty crazy.
Okay.
I personally don't think I could think of a game that I could play like forever. Actually, I lied. I guess right now, if someone asked me that question, it would totally be Tony Hawk, Pro Skater 1 and 2.
Oh, is it that good?
Dude, I used to play it when I was a kid,
Yeah,
right?
me too.
Yeah, and so I picked it up, and it's like, I don't know, it's like I could sit there and just play it for hours. I don't know why. It
Now
has
it's
been
like
years.
good graphics and more than 10 FPS, and
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
you still get stuck on walls all the time. Does that still happen? Is it still like just like the old times where like you bounce into walls and just keep getting stuck on the walls? And
Yeah, I haven't ran into that yet,
Okay.
but maybe one day I'll be able to.
you know what I'm
break it.
talking about, right?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, yeah. Yeah. And, hey, Sponge, what's up? He says they match the controls and physics engine. Yeah, I think they did. It
I mean,
plays great. It plays great. And DK says, to be honest, I think it's weird Taco Bell doesn't actually sell bell-shaped tacos.
I completely agree. They should have some kind of promotion, and they probably would sell thousands and upon thousands of bell shapes.
Thousands upon thousands. Yes, I would agree.
Sponsor us.
More bells.
Yes.
All right, and the last question for you, dude. We ask this to everyone that comes onto the podcast. What do you think is the best programming language ever created?
C#.
Whoa. You heard it here first, folks. Krass and Stein thinks C# is the best programming language ever created.
Can I clarify for a second? Because
Yes.
C# is the only language I know, and because I tried Java and I almost failed Java in college. So,
Oh. Well, that explains a lot.
because I work in C# and I do C# and my life is C#. I have no reason to learn anything else.
His life is C#.
My life is C#.
Yeah. Honestly, I mean, and I'm just memeing with you here. A C#, obviously, like I work with C# a lot as well. Not as much as I used to, but it is a great language. It is awesome. But it's always interesting to see people's thoughts. I think a lot of the people that we've had on originally are definitely more along the sides of like TypeScript / JavaScript type style. So it's always cool to see someone come in and like, yeah, I am 100% sure C# is the best language ever created.
Just does everything so well.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, no, and Ed brings up a good point. That is a fair argument. Yeah, heck yeah, it is. It definitely is.
Yeah.
Awesome, man. Well, thanks for those. I always love those quick little questions to get started. And chat, again, don't forget, if you have any questions for Krass or I, go ahead and type !Q and then add your question to the end of that, and we can go ahead and answer those at the end of the stream for you. So don't forget.
Wait.
Yeah. All right. So now that we've gotten a little into it, Krass, let's talk a little bit about you and who you are and where you got started. I want people to understand like where you came from and how you got to where you've been.
Yeah, it's interesting. That's for sure.
There you go. It's going to be good.
Yeah.
So the first question I want to ask you, it's pretty broad, so feel free to take it however you want. But
Sure.
Just give us a TLDR about yourself.
Okay.
Essentially, where did you get started? How did you get to where you are?
So I went to college, and I was always interested in behind-the-scenes stuff, so I went to school for film. Needed to take an extra math class, and computer science counted as math for some reason, so I took an intro to Java class and failed it almost. I got a D, and a D is credit still, so we were good.
Oh, interesting.
There's a story behind that. Because I was an A student until the final. So,
oh no. Rip.
But you said TLDR, so we'll wait for a little bit for that.
Yeah, you're good.
Foreshadowing. So, and then I enjoyed playing League of Legends and always thought that the beta part of it was really cool, seeing how they made their stuff and everything. And the game dev was always like a thing I always thought about, right? Never actually like, did it. Never thought I was going to do it. And then I kind of fell into it.
Yeah.
Like literally like on Twitch fell into it. And I asked a streamer what he was working on, and he said, yeah, Unity's free. And I went, sick, I'm learning game dev.
Wow. Okay.
So, yeah, I downloaded it that day, started doing tutorials.
Wow, that's
That's
is
a
definitely
TLDR. There you go.
that's a good TLDR. I have a lot of questions around that for sure. The first thing I definitely want to say is, so I did sort of the same sort of like university track that you're talking about. I started off in computer engineering.
Right.
I literally failed. I got a 58%. I got an F in the class.
Oh, nice.
I've never. Thank you. No one's ever said that to me before. Hey, can we get some claps in the chat
More than
for
I got.
the F?
My percentage was less than 58% in Java.
Oh my god. Oh, rip.
I think the only thing that mattered was the final.
Yeah. Yeah. So like
in chat. Holy moly.
Yeah. There you go. Yeah, Callo, welcome, man. Nice to see you, dude. But yeah, the big thing for me was I tried so hard in that class. Like I've never tried this hard ever in anything, and I literally failed it. And I was like, no. What am I gonna do with my life? My life is over.
Oh god.
Oh, sorry, the mic dropped. How about now? Is that a little better?
You sound fine to me.
Okay. That's what they always say on the dev machine. Okay, cool. Yeah. Okay, cool. Thanks for the heads up, guys. But yeah, so I did that, and that's what got me into programming. Was failing that class. So I think it's really interesting.
Yeah, no, I mean, my hatred for programming appeared because of failing that class. Okay, real quick.
Go ahead.
So the teacher was one of those teachers who was like broken English. You know what I mean? Like nothing against those people or anything like that. Nothing against anybody who doesn't speak English well. But when you're at an American university and you're trying to understand what's going on and it's a programming class, you need to figure out what they're trying to say, right? So I was the guy who would like finish the project early and then like put it on Dropbox and everybody would download it and submit it, right?
I see.
So like I pretty much kept that class afloat. And then when we got to the final, it was an hour and a half, and it was code an entire game of blackjack with a sentient AI in an hour and a half. And I kind of like submitted I submitted a blank project. And walked out within 5 minutes.
Why?
Because it was BS.
Okay.
Because it was just a math class. I was like, if I fail a math class, I'll just take another math class.
Sure.
I just thought it was going to be interesting, and it wasn't. So,
hey, honestly,
Java.
I don't know if I would have taken that approach personally, but I do think that there's a lot right there that says, like, if you don't like something and you don't like it, why do it in that sense? Like, you know what I mean? I don't know. There's a lot of stuff there, but it's interesting. That is very interesting.
Yeah, it was not a. I don't recommend anybody submit a blank project.
We are not condoning blank project submissions.
But,
in
I
university.
also was the guy who like thought outside the box for stuff. Right? There was a psychology final. No, philosophy final. Sorry.
Yeah.
Philosophy final, and it was explain how there is no desk in front of the class. At the front of the class, and everyone's writing as hard as possible, and I wrote what desk, and I submitted the paper. I got 98% because I didn't clarify which desk it was.
Dude.
So like,
wow, what a time. What a time.
I don't know. I would never do college again.
Yeah, I think you and I are totally on the same boat. I would never do college again either.
I learned how to count to 30. That's about it. Film jokes.
Oh god, dad jokes. Hello.
Dad jokes and film jokes.
Heyo. Well, so that brings us to a really good next segue to this next question. One of the things I've been really curious about is, what was your aha moment when you realized that you want to do game dev? I know you touched on, you watched someone doing a League of Legends stream, and then you like League of Legends, and then you saw someone doing a game dev stream, and they're like, yo, Unity's free. Was that your moment?
You want me just to drop into the story? Are we doing this now? Is that what this is?
Yeah,
into the story. Okay.
If you feel like you want it, let's do it.
Yeah, it's fine. Let's do it. So I used to watch a lot of League, like more than I played it. The esports scene and all that stuff, and then I somehow fell into Hearthstone. I started playing that, and I was like, I play games. I might as well watch the same game I play, right?
Yeah.
So started to do that, and then I typed like, I wonder if game dev's in here, right? So I typed game dev, and the creative category came up because it was called creative still. And I wasn't streaming anything.
Yeah.
And basically, the person who was the first. This is what happens, right? You go into the channel and this is a new thing to me. Let me see who the person top streaming is, right?
Yeah.
What I did, I clicked on Quasi TV's channel. Quasi is an amazing streamer. I love the guy. He was working on a game called Skyhook, which was basically a 4-player like Super Smash Bros. Meets grappling hook game.
Yeah.
And I was like, dude, this game looks pretty cool. He goes, thanks. I was like, what are you making it in? And he does exclamation mark tools.
Yeah.
Right, which I then took for my channel too. And it said he works in Unity. And I was like, oh, is Unity free? He goes, yeah, man, it's free. I was like, sick. I'm gonna start making games.
Hell yeah. Okay.
And I literally just went to the page and downloaded it. And that was it. Like, that's my entire story. Like, if it wasn't for Quasi TV, I wouldn't have made games. If it wasn't for Drunk Devs, who no longer streams, unfortunately, but they will again at some point, I would not have the I don't even know what to call it. The environment of my channel, the way that I actually address my channel and how I talk to the viewers and how I do this and how I do that. It's all because of him. So it's like a mix of like an amalgamation of those two. Yeah.
No, I think that's actually really cool because I feel sad because I don't remember the first programming streamer I ever watched. I was thinking about the other day and I can't remember, but I feel like that has a lot of influence on how my streams happen now. Right. And you know, obviously how we do development streams in general, whether it be game dev, whether it be app dev, whatever. There's a lot of that stuff there, and we're all just like iterating on each other in a sense.
Right.
So yeah, that's a cool story, man. I always love those. That's not necessarily like, oh, I was in school, I knew what I wanted to do. It was like I came across this one thing and holy crap. And I think that's really important for a lot of people to understand.
Right. I mean, it comes down to it as it really shows, like, you know, even when you're in college, most people get a degree and then they're in retail, you know, or they get a degree in management and then they never work a management job. Or they get a degree in logistics and never in logistics. Like, it's one of those things where it's like, I worked in film, and because of just the creative mind and a lot of illicit things I did in college,
hello, what does that mean?
Became extremely creative, and now I make games.
Hell yeah, dude! Now I make games. That's all you need to know. That's all everyone needs to know. Hell yeah. So I guess this kind of got mangled up in how you were describing how you found your aha moment in game dev and things like that. But can you touch a little?
Aha moment. My aha moment is it's just A. It happened.
Okay. All right. Multiple choice A. It just happened.
Yeah, that's right. Yep.
Yeah. No, for sure. And top swag code, pretty normal not to end up with a job that you studied for. Yeah. It's honestly. It's really interesting because in my career, I've worked with some people that started off doing, I think, literature as their degree in college. And they are working with me as software engineers. And I'm like, what? What are you doing? And they're like,
how did you get the time to learn this? Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. But, and hey, D, what's up?
I've heard of it that a litliterature degree or a liberal arts degree is because you just don't know what you want to do. So
yeah.
But I mean,
that makes sense.
No problem with it. If you have a degree for that, no problem. I didn't know how to make money in college, so I understand. So I have different views upon college.
Sure. Yeah, I think that I feel like one of the consistent themes that we've always hit on in all these stand-ups is a difference of universities in the United States and outside of the United States.
Oh, totally.
And whether if universities are something that people should attend or not should attend. So I guess since we'll keep on the trend, what are your thoughts on universities? And
you want me to go into this? It might make people mad.
We'll do a nice high level view. Essentially, I like to frame it in the scope of: do you feel like universities are a necessity for people who are wanting to start their own game dev studios?
No, absolutely not. Mm-mm.
Tell us more. Why?
Just because of like. I mean, okay, so going back to being a film major, it was not just called film. It was called, I don't even remember what it was called. It was called like video communication, multimedia, and graphic design, or some kind of thing like that. Which means you're going to know a little bit of a lot of stuff. But when you get on your feet and you get in the field, you gotta suck. Like, so like I did an internship at a news-ish studio where they went and did like interviews and stuff. And they're like, all right, wrap this cord this way. And I'm like, how do you want this cord like this? This way?
So you're saying you became a pro Googler at that point?
A YouTuber. Yeah, I had to watch.
Pro YouTuber. Okay.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, so how do you do an over under? Why would you wrap it that way? And then I have to look at why you would wrap it that way because that's how my mind works, right? So, so now, I mean, college is good if you have a very, very, very specific course that you have to learn, like neurosurgery.
Yeah.
Right? Like if you need to learn how to be a doctor, you probably got to go to college just because you need to learn how to be a doctor. I mean, they call it practice for a reason. They don't call it doctoring.
Sure.
So, for game design or game, so first off, the whole issue with owning a game studio, you're never going to learn in college.
Yeah.
You're never going to learn how to own anything in college. That's what I don't like about college. Is that college teaches you how to work for somebody for the rest of your life instead of make a future for yourself.
Dude, wow, that right there hit me like so hard. That's so profound. It's like you'll always learn how to work for someone else, but you'll never be able to work for yourself.
This is why I don't talk about college, right? It's gonna make people mad.
We got some snaps up in here. Damn. That was good, dude. That was awesome.
I mean, okay, so just a second on success mindset, right? So if you work for somebody else, they dictate the food you eat, they dictate the car you drive, they dictate the house you live in, where you live, how long you're going to live there. They dictate the kind of things you buy. They dictate when you go on vacation. They dictate when you get to have lunch.
Yeah.
When you own a game studio, you make all those rules. You make the rules for everybody else in your studio too. So if you want to have awesome rules for your studio, you have awesome rules for your studio. Interesting. It's kind of weird though.
Yeah, no, it's
where the second you become an outside of a game development studio, you become a software consultant.
Yeah.
Now you control your own life.
Yeah. No, I think, this definitely goes into a lot of different topics of just how you want to live your life in general, because don't get me wrong, I do think that there are people out there that they want the stability. They love working for other people, right? And that's totally cool. Like you should feel empowered and happy to do that. But I do think there are a lot of people that unfortunately have to fall into this system. I don't like to use the word system, but like
it is.
Yeah.
But a lot of it comes down to, do you have the willpower, determination, and not motivation, because motivation is an exterior thing. You don't actually get motivated from yourself.
Yeah.
Somebody else will motivate you, and it will always be that way. You'll never be like, I do have enough motivation to stream. It's yes, I want to come on stream because there's people who are counting on me to be on stream every day.
I see.
So it's an exterior thing, right? So it becomes instead determination, willpower, and a want and need for success.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if you have all three of those things, you'll start a business. It's really what it comes down to.
Yeah.
And consistency. You have to have a lot of consistency is important.
Yeah, for sure. And then again, like it can be either an exterior motivation or internal or both. Right. So yeah, that's good. I think this is all very relative. Sponge and Chat goes, this turned into a deep topic very quickly. It did, but I think it's very relative to like what we're talking about, right? Like essentially if you want to start your own game studio, right? If you want to do what Krass is doing, like this is something that makes a lot of sense. Like people have thought about this, even like Twitch streamers, right? If you want to go full-time on Twitch, like you've thought about this, right? Like how do I put my
the second you sign the affiliate agreement, you are starting a Twitch business.
Yeah.
Whether you look at it or not.
Yeah.
The chance you won't make money in your Twitch business, but you are starting money as a Twitch independent business owner.
Yeah, 100%. And it's funny because like on my perspective, I look at the Pixelogic Dev Twitch channel. And like I have my own LLC set up for it. Like it's its own entity.
Right.
And like it's making profit. Like I am making money. It might not be enough. Yeah, exactly. And that's incredible. It's a really cool feeling. It's all about the perspective of like, wow, like I'm building this thing and technically my business, I'm making profit. And this is what happens. And you can kind of grow that as you continue your journey. So dude, that's great. Do you have any other thoughts on this, Krass?
I can keep going, man. I'm not going to keep going because it's going to make somebody mad.
No worries.
I don't want to overtalk it. You know what I mean? If you overtalk it without letting people have the thoughts kind of sink in and think about what they actually want to do with their lives, it ends up becoming invalid.
Sure. Yeah,
So,
I think you're making a good point. I think this is a good like pool. Let's move on to the next thing. But I think this will be a continuing trend that keeps coming up in our talk today. So no worries at all, man. I think it's a good thing. I think it should be out there. Sponge
success mindset is a hard thing, man. Success mindset's a very hard thing. Yeah, LLC is limited liability company. That's right.
Yeah. No, 100%. Yeah. And yes, we put electricity in Alex Tesla. Yes, you do. Thank you. That's how I don't drive around anymore. But anyways, okay. So now that we kind of know more about you. We know like who Krass is, where you got started, some of your thoughts on certain things. So I want to kind of bring it back up a little and talk about your game studio specifically, and a lot more specific ideas of how you started it in like the more nitty gritty. So the first thing I want to ask you is, do you have any team members at Static City Games?
Yeah, Static City is a team of 5 people right now.
Okay, cool. Do you mind listing like what their roles are?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, and they don't care if I would say their names, because they're all people who either appear on Twitch or do stream on Twitch.
Oh, nice. So, cool.
And some of them are affiliated, some of them are revenue based, some of them are this, that, right, whatever, right? Some of them are interns. So Watery Tart, also known as Chris Gray, is my composer and will always be my composer until the end of time. He's been the composer on every single game that I've ever done. He streams. He usually streams with System Shock and stuff like that, but he still streams. And he's an amazing, amazing person. Couldn't ask for a better developer.
Awesome.
Slash composer. He's also fantastic at shader work, so I have him do my shaders.
Yeah, Krass, and real quick, if you have any links for any of your team members, feel free to post them in chat. And I can also look them up while you're talking and make sure to find them.
Yeah,
definitely.
Do you have a shout out command?
I do. It's !SO and then the username. Yeah.
So that's Water Tart.
Awesome.
He's the composer. We also have somebody who is a relatively new person to the team. He's working on a game that I'm sure we might touch about if we get into the games.
Yeah.
He's working on a newer game that I've been streaming a lot recently. It's actually, Watery Tart's name is a Monty Python reference.
Nice.
It's actually Antidote, and Antic is an amazing, amazing artist. He's a pixel artist, and he's just like, he's a sketch style pixel artist. So if you've seen people where it's not as clean, but then it still gets refined, it's like nitty gritty, and it's like he's good at making disgusting stuff and like
nice.
So like, yeah.
Awesome.
And then we have another person. His name is, he's actually one of the first subscribers to my channel, Cody.
Cool.
Cody is a university student in somewhere near London, I think. I don't know, somewhere in the UK. I'm sorry, I don't get the whole map for London, or the map for the UK.
Geography.
I just don't know. Don't be mad. I'm sorry. So he is working on a different game for the company right now as well. And then there's also somebody she's not a streamer, so we'll just say her name is Distal, or her tag is Distal, and she does concept art / UI art. So basically, nice. 2 programmers, 3 artists.
Awesome.
2 programmers, artists, and a composer.
So I guess one of my questions off of that would be, what is the typical kind of ratio between artists / developers? Because I feel like for game dev, artists are probably really important, right?
Yeah. Artists sell your game 90% of the time.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Artists sell your game 90% of the time, because on Steam you get 8 seconds to show a trailer basically before somebody gets distracted.
Sure.
And you get 4 screenshots that show up on the front page if you get on the front page.
Wow. Yeah. So
you have to really much sell your game in the first 8 seconds and with 4 pictures. Dude, and so if your stuff doesn't look pretty, it's not getting sales.
Yeah.
Which sucks, because games like Baba Is You is not a pretty game, but it's sold millions of copies.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah. That actually was one of my questions. Oh, sorry. Yeah. That was actually one of my questions later on, but we can definitely touch on that now. But before we do that, Arm of Forcier, yeah, that was correct. Again, folks, if you have any questions you want to ask Krass or I, feel free to type in !Q and add your question. and then we'll get to it towards the end of the stream for sure.
Right.
But yeah, so one of the big questions I had, because in something like app development, for me, and I feel like probably other people definitely are on the same boat, it's hard. Like these areas and these stores are becoming saturated because there's so many people creating things.
In a way.
Okay.
Because if we need to, for those of you who do not know, between 10 to 30 games every day are released on Steam.
Really?
Every day.
That's a lot of games.
If you don't get traction,
yeah,
your game gets swallowed.
Yeah. Right.
I released Chronicle in March, and then 4 days later, Doom and Animal Crossing came out.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Because we pushed Chronicle 2 weeks past its due date.
Yeah.
It was going to come out on the 2nd. It came out on the 16th. Doom and Animal Crossing came out on the 20th.
Wow.
So we got eaten that week.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, that's definitely
I'm not going to take that as I'm not taking that as the excuse. I'm sure it was poor marketing, poor this, poor that. We still have a chance to do a full release, which will give us a better shot at that. So,
Sure. Yeah, but I think that's a really good point. Is being just in tune with the market as well, right? Understanding those big titles coming out, and so essentially, what would you say is your top advice for someone trying to market or advertise their game? This was a question I had a little later on, but since we're talking about it now, this is great.
Market or advertise your game?
Yeah, like
first streaming yesterday. Yeah. To be honest, 100%. In order to make a game successful on the internet and to be on Steam and be successful, you need 10 reviews. It doesn't matter if they're good or not. Mm-hmm. The reviews have to be purchased games and not given out for free. And then you get marked as a score, positive, mostly positive, somewhat positive, right? Mixed, negative, all that stuff.
Yeah.
Those make you show up in algorithms. If you don't ever hit 10 reviews or 11 reviews or whatever it takes for you to hit that number, you don't show up. So the 10 to 30 games a day, most of those games don't hit it. They get swallowed.
Interesting. Yeah.
Life and Debt is one of our releases back in 2018.
Yeah.
It's a $5 game. Not the prettiest thing in the world. But because it hit that level, that tier, and it still has mixed reviews because there were some issues within the game and some bugs and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It still gets, a handful of units every single day, and I don't have to do any marketing for it because it just shows up in Steam Discovery with algorithms.
Yeah,
it's all because of numbers with that. So.
Yeah, honestly, I think that's a really great point that you bring up, because again, like I'm familiar more with the like mobile app stores and things like that. It's the same boat, right? It's if you don't have the proper marketing to begin with, it's very difficult to get your app to be shown maybe at the top of the list of something or things along those lines. And so in the app world, it's more like screenshots. Make sure your keywords is highly important when making apps, right? Like names of things. Funny story about that. My first app I built for iOS, Cycles, I was like, yo, Cycles is a great name. I did no research on it. I go to the app store after I release it. You type in Cycles and you get menstrual cycle apps. And so I'm like, and so someone types in Cycles. They're like, hey, I don't get it. Like all I see are menstrual cycle apps. And I'm like, wait, what? And I go and I'm literally like the 9th or 10th down on the list. Because
9th or 10th though is not bad at that point.
Yeah. I mean, it's
hysterical.
Overall, it was really great. But it's funny because it's like, why? So the first thing I thought of when I was making Groovy was, okay, let me search this thing in the App Store, see where I'm at. And there's essentially I'm like 1 or 2 because no one has this name of Groovy. So I'm like, beautiful, perfect name. We're good to go. No one will be confused when they're searching for this thing.
Totally.
Yeah.
That's good stuff. That's really funny, man.
Yeah, it's
ready for that one.
I love that story because it always makes me chuckle. I remember my mom specifically. She was like, "Alec, did you make a menstrual cycle app?" And I was like, "Mom, no, I didn't." She's like, "What is this?" Oh man, yeah, it was good times. Good. Yes, but yeah, so great. So the next thing I wanted to kind of ask you about. So we understand a little bit about marketing, kind of your team members at Static City Games.
Right.
The one thing I feel like is a big blocker for a lot of people is this idea of you have to have a lot of money to start a studio. And so, we had someone chat earlier say you actually don't need a lot of money to start your own business. And so I wanted to ask you, what do you think? Do you feel like you need a lot of money up front to start this? or do you feel like you could just start right now with a couple dollars in your pocket?
It really depends on what direction you plan on going. Do you plan on opening a studio, having people come to your studio every day? Right? Or are you having people out of work out of your house? Or are you having everybody be remote? Static City Games is, by default, when it was first created, always going to be a remote company. I don't want people to leave their house. Everybody works from home, has a good time. We call it a day.
Nice.
We just do meetings on Discord. It's easy. Like, it reduces overhead completely. Sure, we do a release party. Let's fly everybody out. You know what I mean? Like, that sounds fun, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to cost me an arm and a leg to fly Cody out from the UK, but you got to do what you got to do. So, so like, I mean, do you need a lot of money to start a game studio? The answer really is no. I don't think you do. Do you need a lot of money to make sure that you put the right type of company with when it comes to taxes and stuff? Make sure I'm not a tax accountant. Make sure you check with your tax accountant or find somebody who knows what they're talking about before I just start randomly saying what I do, right? Because I am a single member LLC. So basically everybody who is under me by default cannot be on payroll. They're just not able to be. They have to be a 1099 contractor. Yeah. It's just how it is, right? Yep. That means that they record their own taxes, they record their own expenses, yada, 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 yada. Right? Honestly, it's a win-win because they give tax breaks too, being an independent contractor. Would I have changed it to be a corporation? I can always change it to be a corporation when I want. Yeah. But a single member LLC is treated like a sole prop, so I don't have to renew my business every year. Yeah. Yeah. So I'm $140 one time. So if you don't have $140, you need to figure out a way to raise $140 to start a game studio. You know what I mean? Yeah. And like the worst thing ever, and the reason why I put Static City as the name of the company instead of my name is mainly because if something happens where somebody plays my game and has too many flashing lights or too much screen shake and they get sick and they throw up and they die, they come after Static City Games and not me. Sure. Oh yeah, that's what it is, right? That's the reasoning that you get. That's why you do stuff like that, right? Interesting. Somebody makes some kind of timing app and it has a little blinking light that happens when the time goes off, right? Or when the cycle blinks. I don't even know, right? And then now it's being used in a hospital. Yeah. And they're using it, and then somebody has a seizure that they didn't know was seizure active or whatever the right term is for it. Yeah. And now you're at fault because they're using your app, even though you didn't say they can use your app. Yeah. No, and that's why Pixelogic Dev is behind an LLC. Yeah. That's honestly a really good point. And then Sponge brings us a great point as well. It's before we talk about that, I wanted to kind of deviate off of this a little bit and say this is a lot on the legal side, right? So you obviously, if you want to start a game studio and make it official under a LLC or any sort of corporation, there's some sort of money around that. I'm more curious about money around actually the development of a game, right? So do you feel like you need any money to get started tomorrow on building a game? As a solo developer? Yeah. No, because Unity is free. Unreal is free. Construct is free. If you don't know how to do coding, Construct is free. Yeah. You can open XNA and download MonoGame and just start. Awesome. You're not going to know what you're doing, but you can open XNA and just start. Yeah. I mean, you can do whatever you want. I mean, there's every day it almost feels like there's another game engine that appears for free. Yeah, and engine is now free. Lumberyard through Amazon is free. Wow. You have to figure out exactly which one you want to use, which one is the best business model, and use that one. And I picked Unity, and I still believe that Unity's one is still the best. Yeah, I think that's what I asked that question because I feel like it's really important for people to understand. Like, people kind of get stuck behind two things, in my opinion, when creating projects or starting a company or anything like that. It's one, capital. I don't have enough money, capital, right? Two, I don't have an idea. I don't know what to do. But when you have such quality software out there that's free that you can do all of this stuff with, there's literally nothing stopping you. The only thing stopping you is yourself at that point, right? Yeah. I mean, when it comes down to it, if $140 makes or breaks you from starting a business, then you shouldn't start a business. Yeah. Greatly said. And I hate to say that because that some people go, oh, I can't make $140. I could mow lawns for $10 a lawn, and I can mow 14 lawns and make $140.
Yeah, there you go.
So like, I mean, like anybody can make money. You just got to put your mind to it and then do it to make it.
So I guess
if you want to own a business, if you don't want to own a business and you just want to be a programmer at a company, sick.
Yeah.
Awesome, man. I'm looking forward to working with you possibly in the future. You know what I mean? Like, like just be darn good. What's the 144? Taxes, fees, and paperwork to submit it for a business, basically. At least in Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
In Pennsylvania, it's $140 for an LLC. I don't know what it costs in California. I don't know what it costs anywhere else. You have to go to your Treasury of State website to find out.
Yeah,
basically.
and it's obviously different in every country as well, because I know we definitely have a lot of people from all over the world here. So consult your local people and figure that stuff out. But at the end of the day, it's paperwork, and they ask you for money for filing your paperwork. And
that's right.
Yeah, and that's what it is. So don't be afraid. And then I just wanted to call out Top Swag Code, your comment on the David Heimer Hansen book, or talks. Good stuff there for sure. Thanks for sharing with that.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. Cool. Awesome, man. Yeah, I think that's good stuff there. And so since we're on this topic of money and kind of starting things financially and trying to understand how that works, when you're building one of your games, such as like Life and Debt, right? You have this idea of like, all right, I'm going to charge $5 for this game. How do you figure out this monetization strategy behind your game?
The hardest thing to do is figure out what a game's going to be worth. It really comes down to what you believe in it. Like, I mean, I could sell if I was in the watchmaking business. I could make watches, and they could be of terrible quality, and I could still sell it to you for $200, Alec. I could.
Could you?
And you'd be like, "It's a sick $200 watch, man." And I'd be like, "Thanks, it me $17 to make." If
it got that Apple logo on it, you got me.
Yeah, right. No, and for you, it would have an Apple logo on it, and also a brain. So, but like, I can choose just like a physical thing. You go, okay, well, what are we going to sell this water bottle for? Are we going to sell it for $30? Or are we going to call it a premium water bottle that has biodegradable filters for $90? And the biodegradable filters are still part of the water bottle for $30.
Yeah.
Included part, but now the key piece is $90, right?
Sure,
so like, and then people will still buy into it because people are people, right? And it's the hardest thing to say. So like, being from a business owner looking out at sales as a perspective, right? People are going to be people. People will back anything that they believe in.
Yeah.
Hollow Knight is a very, 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 very good game. Hollow Knight is $15. It should not be $15 because there are games like Halo that are $60, and I would consider the amount of excitement you get from Halo is comparable to the amount of excitement you get from Hollow Knight. It's just a different style game.
I see.
Right?
Yeah.
But $15, maybe they sold themselves short. I don't know. There's no way to tell. They've sold millions upon millions of copies. They clearly did something right. Right?
I see. Yeah.
So trying to figure out what your game is worth is impossible sometimes, right? Life and Debt, we put it at $5 because it had a 3-month development cycle, and then it was released.
Yeah. Right.
And then we did 6 months of updates, basically, right?
Yeah.
So like, that game was a $5 game just because of that sole fact of it being a 3-month dev cycle, and it was a casual game that lasted about 3 hours. And unfortunately, on Steam, most people expect $1 to equal 1 hour of gameplay, which is kind of crazy.
Oh, interesting. Yeah. That's actually pretty wild to think about.
Yeah, it's actually like they're saying that their time is worth $1 an hour when they play it, which doesn't really make sense to me.
Yeah.
So, like, a lot of it comes down to that is Chronicle is $15. Yeah. Right? Chronicle Unidate is $15. It's easily one of the best games that this company has made. There's tons of content, there's tons of this, tons of that, tons of replayability. It's just, if you like space shooters, it's a damn good space shooter.
Yeah. No, I think these are some really good points that you bring up. One thing I wanted to hit on is, I guess as a game studio, right, you feel probably pressured to obviously monetize your apps, especially when you have people that work with you on this thing, and this is something you do full time. So do you feel like there's any ever space for kind of just a free sort of either a free tier game or like a freemium model that everyone has been really going towards these days?
Freemium is an interesting world. It's a hard world because most people will not give you those ads. They'll say, no, I don't want to watch the ad. I don't want the double chest, right? I don't want the double XP for an hour. They won't do it, right? So you don't make the money, because the worst kind of apps or worst kind of ads you can do in a freemium model is, microtransactions, one, because people get upset unless it's Fall Guys, and then they don't get upset for some reason. $20 game also to buy in-game stuff. People don't get upset for I don't get it. It's one of those games where it broke through that norm and everyone's okay with it.
Yeah, that's interesting. I actually didn't know that.
So because Fall Guys is $20 game, and then they have an in-game shop in the actual game.
Yeah,
it costs real currency for customizable skins, so you can become a hot dog in the game instead of a game. Huh.
Yeah, interesting.
And because of that, it costs $5 to become a hot dog or French fries or a shake, right?
Yeah.
It's freaking cute, right? So of course people are going to buy that. And how many people, out of the 20 million people who have bought Fall Guys, how many of them actually also bought another $5 because it's just $5?
Yeah, sure, right, sure.
Devolver's a great company. I love them. They're fantastic people.
Nice.
They picked up the right game, basically.
Yeah, and I think obviously a lot of when you're making anything in general, sometimes it's just at the right time, and you can't time that ever. It's just the way life is, right? Like no one planned for COVID to happen, but now COVID happened and everyone's like, holy crap, all monitors are sold out. Webcams are like still out of stock. Like hardware is so limited. It's a wild time for tech right now, especially for people who play games and do things on a computer.
See, game studios benefit when people have disposable income.
Yeah, right.
COVID hit, people no longer have disposable income.
Yeah. I mean, that's.
But then there are things like that one game, like Fall Guys came out, and apparently 20 million people had $20. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
So, I mean, it's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
I mean, I don't know. It's one of those things, man. I don't know. Free versus freemium. I believe that everybody needs to feel compensated.
100%.
I believe that everybody needs to feel compensated, and if you put any time and effort into something, there should be some kind of monetary gain from it, even if it's small.
Okay.
There should be something involved where you believe. Otherwise, I mean, and if you want to release things for free, it's fine. By all means, you can do open source, you can do this, do that. I'm not shooting you down at all, by the way. For Groovy.
Oh yeah, no, dude, don't worry. It's not taking it all.
I believe that if I put in 9 months of my time, energy, and everything, that I should put some kind of price tag on it, because I put 40 hours or 50 hours or 60 hours or 70 hours a week into something for 9 months.
Yeah.
Wouldn't I deserve some kind of monetary compensation, or at least offer it to be some kind of monetary compensation for it?
Yeah. No, I mean, I think you make a really good point, and I also think it's very
right.
Yeah, it's very perspective based, right? So, I think Roars, you bring up a really good point with like they can't socialize outside of their homes, so they're here now, right? They're home and they're more like, well, I was gonna go spend $10 on dinner, might as well just buy a game with that $10 or something like that.
Yeah, people are using their money in different ways now.
Yeah, but you bring up the example of, hey, like I put time into this thing, I feel like I should be compensated with that monetarily, and I think it depends on what you're doing, right? So, from my own perspective, I have a full-time job. I get paid every week or every couple weeks, and the stream stuff I do is for fun, it's for enjoyment, and it's something I want to grow. So for me, when I make an app, I'm like, monetization is not really on my mind. It's more of what can I learn, what can I build to make something really great. Though I'm not saying that I wouldn't want to be monetization for all the work I put into it, but there's that cost and balance. So
of course,
yeah, for sure. I think that's a really good point you bring up.
Yeah. So I mean, it's just an interesting world, because there's always different ways to look at everything. So
yeah.
And I mean, if I didn't start Static City Games so that I didn't make money.
Of course, exactly. And if I ever
games this way, I'm like, because I want to make money. I mean,
yeah. I mean, like I don't think there's anything wrong with doing something you really enjoy, but also getting like paid for it, right? Like there's I don't think it should be you either, you know, you have to you can't get paid for doing something you absolutely love. I do think I do have a little bit of contention with people who go into things like programming and they absolutely hate it, but they're like, it brings in the big bucks. Like,
I'm making 130K, so I guess I'll just deal with it.
Yeah. And you know, but again, it comes down to how people want to live their life, right? Yeah. It's like,
I discovered that I'm a bad employee. Okay. I've discovered that I can afford jobs and I'm a bad employee.
All I know is
enough hats where I feel okay with it.
All I know is if Pixelogic ever has openings, you will not be on that list for an employee.
You are absolutely right, but I will be there 100% to support you.
Hey, there we go. Let's go. Yes, dude, I love it.
I'm the first person to buy every single one of my friends' games when they release.
Oh, yo, speaking of buying games, this is so random. I do need to do a Krass Jam one of these days because I still haven't. So when is the next one? And can you speak to a little bit about what a Krass Jam is?
Of course, yeah. So Krass Jam is a type of game jam that is a little bit different than every other game jam that exists, right? Because game jams usually typically have one topic, and you have anywhere between 48 hours or 24 hours to 8.5 years to make a game.
Yeah.
Right. Because there are some that are like 1 full year. It's not really a game jam. That's just called making a game. So, usually everyone has the same topic, and you end up going, you know, the topic is time. There's 30 submissions, and they're all games about time. Let's see which ones are the coolest ones about time. Right? It's kind of neat, right?
Yeah.
That's kind of cool.
I like that.
Cool, because everybody comes together. It's like this big community where everyone's working on the same thing together without working on the same thing together.
Yeah.
Right? So, Krass Jam turns the boat around and sends you back home. Right? So what it basically does is it goes, we like game jams and we think they're cool. We think everybody should have their own game jam for 72 hours. And you go, well, what do you mean about that? Well, we use a random generator that's created by the same guy who made Cookie Clicker.
Okay.
Ortio, right? So Ortio is an awesome developer. He made Cookie Clicker, and he's the mind behind that, right?
Yeah.
We use his game generator that's created to have everybody roll their own game jams. And you get 3 different choices to pick from, and you have to then go, oh crap, these themes are insane. I don't know if I'm going to be able to make a game about fighting a cyclops in the ocean on a poodle. I don't get it. I'm not sure.
Yeah,
and then you figure it out, right? So it's kind of like fun.
Yeah. Nice.
And ends up with some real wacky stuff. We've had a game before where it was a game called Screaming at Nazis, where the guy figured out how to use mic input to make Nazis' heads get bigger and explode.
Oh my god!
So
wow.
you actually are yelling at them. It's so great.
Oh my god.
There's games like I had to make one time where it was basketball, but you had to throw chickens into a hoop. So I made a game with a chicken pen, and you're booting chickens into a pen to get points. Dude. Right? You get 2 points for every time you right.
Incredible. Yeah. That honestly sounds like a great time. Yeah.
It's fun. It's just because it makes you get out of your comfort zone.
Yeah,
Krass
for sure.
Is meant for you to be spontaneous, get out of your comfort zone, try something new that you never thought you would ever make.
Yeah.
And some people have continued their games because of it, and they've released some crazy, wild stuff that nobody would ever thought of.
Wow.
So that's why Krass Jam is important, and why I think it's a really fun jam, and more people should do it. And yeah,
definitely.
Besides the Krass Jam thing,
I was just thinking about that because I've been wanting. My biggest thing is I've been wanting to make a game. Like I've never been into this world, and it really, in all honesty, it really terrifies me. I am very hesitant to go and try to make a game because I don't feel like I have enough artistic creativity to do it.
The guy who makes apps that are never heard of before.
So so people come and tell me that, and I'm just like, I don't get it. So I've been wanting to, and like the first game jam that comes to mind for me is yours, the Krass Jams. So that's why I was just thinking about it now. And for some reason I wanted to ask you about it because I don't know if a lot of people in our or my community at least know about Krass Jam or anyone else who doesn't.
Right.
So I think that's something in the future that we'll definitely be doing on this channel. So make sure if you haven't to follow Krassenstein on Twitch as well, and we have a !Krass command to know more about those game jams for sure.
Yeah, but so the next Krass Jam will be happening upon release of Chronicle Unity.
Beautiful. And when is the release of that coming?
God, I don't know. There's a lot of, we're hoping late September, but now like we're maybe hoping mid-October.
Yeah. Okay.
Because late September is happening really fast.
Sure. Sure.
Ready. So we got sponsored by SteelSeries. Because
congratulations, dude! That's awesome.
Chronicle SteelSeries was a they reached out to us. We got sponsored by them. They sent me the Apex Pro,
very nice
mouses, and a Arctis headset. So that's why I keep playing with the controller or the keyboard, and you keep hearing these loud slams because I have the magnetic piece that's like a rest.
Nice, awesome.
So I have to get their GameSense technology into Chronicle, so you can see the health on the numbers on the keyboard, right?
Yeah.
Or you can, if you have the SteelSeries mouse that has the little digital part, you can see how many bullets you have left on your shots, right? Like I need to get that functionality in, and then they're doing like a 5 million person outreach on Twitter and.
Wow.
So but I have to get it done, and they want to sync it with the release of the game. So now I have to get that to work.
Yeah, for sure, dude.
Right.
That's
the hardest thing because they're. I love SteelSeries. They're amazing people.
Yeah.
But their SDK is horrible. And they know it's bad.
Yeah. Well, either way, man, that's pretty incredible. What a sponsorship for sure. Congratulations on that.
No, I thought it was a joke too. I was like, "Are you kidding me?" Like I sent them an email. I'm like,
"Yeah."
I'm like, "Yeah, it's kind of funny, but like you said a lot of things that sounded right, and you didn't have any spelling mistakes. So is this real?"
Am I not supporting a princess somewhere in the world?
And I'm like, I'm honest. I'm honest. And they're like, "Yeah, no, just send us your address." And I'm like, "I don't want you to have my address." I'm sign up for Bible things.
Yeah. Dude, that's
for Christian newsletters.
Yeah, stop that.
Right.
That's incredible, man. Yeah.
But yeah, so I sent him my address, and then I got an email about tracking for all this stuff. So
awesome.
It was just weird, but yeah. I mean, so Krass Jam will happen upon release of Chronicle.
Beautiful. Cool. Well, we'll make sure to stay tuned for that. But speaking of this kind of hardware sponsorship, the one thing I wanted to ask that's kind of on top of this is. So you've made your game, you've decided what you want to build, you've built it, and now you're like, okay, cool. I'm ready to put this on platforms. For people that don't know, how, and for myself, how do you decide what platform to put these games on, right? There's an endless amount of platforms that you could put games on.
Right, totally.
Yeah.
So where to put it? I mean, it's really one of those things where it's like Steam is the obvious go-to at this point. If you want to have commercial games, you need to be on Steam because there are millions upon millions. Like if you go to partner.steamworks.com, which is completely free, like you don't have to have a login in order to get there. It tells you the numbers of monthly active users, right?
Oh, nice.
94 million monthly active users on Steam.
Whoa, that's a huge number.
Monthly.
Yeah.
And you want your game on Steam? Are you kidding me? Somebody out of 94 million people will play your game.
Yeah.
That's active users. That's not people who come in once every 3 months, once every 6 months, or new people. That's 94 million who log on to Steam every single day, at least, or at least once a month, right?
Yeah.
At least, hold on.
Yeah, if you don't mind posting that, would be great. And so, so that's for a thing like Steam, right? And before we talk about other platforms as well, a little bit more in depth on that. What is the technical aspect of putting this on maybe Xbox or PlayStation or a Wii or a Switch?
Reaching out to them, pitching their game, making sure it's okay for their student, making sure that they like your stuff.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of gatekeeping. Blech, words suck. There's a lot of gatekeeping that exists on non-Steam platforms. Right? Yeah. I applied to Epic to put Chronicle on Epic. They said no because we weren't a big enough company, right?
Oh, I see. Yeah.
And also because we weren't an Unreal Engine, so it's probably a mix of the two things, right?
Oh, yeah. Sure.
I applied to partner.steamgames.com is not Steam. So Did I do the right ones? Is it Steamworks or Steam Games?
Yeah, you got Steamworks in there.
It reroutes itself to Steam Games.
Oh, I see. Nice.
They figured that out. That's good. Because I think there's also the revenue side of it, which I think is something similar to it.
Sure.
Yeah. So, like Switch, you have to apply to be a Switch dev.
Yeah.
You have to reach out to Nintendo at yada yada, whatever. I don't know. Switch at blah blah blah.com.
Yeah.
And reach out to them and pitch your game. And if they like it, they go, "Yeah, man, you can be on Switch. Sweet. Here's the Switch key. You want to be on Wii? You just go into the Nintendo thing and you make an account and you go apply for Wii Store, and it's just you're just good, right?
Nice.
Because nobody really uses the Wii anymore.
Yeah, I bring up the Wii. I don't know why I always do this, but I bought a Wii a while back.
2010.
Yeah, dude, so I bought a Wii a while back, literally for Rock Band 1. I found a Rock Band set in like a retro game somewhere. I'm like, I gotta have this, and it was only for Wii. So every time I talk about Switch, the Wii, I always say Wii first, and I'm like, wait a minute, Switch.
So I know that PlayStation and Xbox require you to have a contact, as far as I know, or a developer or some kind of publisher, to get you in there.
Yep.
I don't really know the intricacies of it. I have never looked it up. I'm assuming. I mean, I know that Chronicle is great controller only, and we have it set up to be fully controller supported. Will it ever get onto XBLA? If it makes enough money on Steam, I would move it to other places. I don't want to have to recode the game to work with Xbox's save system or to work with Switch's save system without having to worry about whether it's going to sell or not.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And so that's kind of what I was trying to get at here as well. So you write this game, let's say in Unity, right? You build all the assets, you do all your stuff. How portable is this on every other platform? Is it like a pretty easy port, or is there a lot of kind of custom configuring you have to do for each platform?
So Unity has a lot of stuff that they do for you in the back end. Like way too much that they do for you on the back end. It's actually really nice.
Okay.
If I wanted to build a game in PC, I switch the build platform to PC and I press build game. If I'm going to build the game in Mac, I switch it to Mac OS and I click build game. Same thing with Linux, and I can choose whether it's 64-bit or 32-bit for any of them, except for Mac, because Mac sucks right now. Because you have to own a Mac in order to build Mac 64 bits because of Catalina, and Catalina sucks.
Preach, man. Everyone, I think a lot of people are getting tired of this whole I gotta own a Mac OS system in order to build things for it.
Can I rant on that for a second?
Yeah, go for it. Please do. we have a lot of people in the community always talking about that. So this is I no longer offer my games on 64-bit Mac or even 32-bit Mac. My games are not for sale on Mac anymore, pretty much, right? Unless they already exist as a build on Steam for Mac. Because Mac now requires you, if you own, I believe it's 10.15? 10.15? Is that what it is? I believe 15, yeah.
Yeah, so if you own 10.15, you are no longer allowed to build the game for Mac and publish it without a Apple developer ID, which costs $99 a year.
Yes.
And Xcode, which requires you to own a Mac.
Yeah.
And if you don't ever want to own a Mac, you're not going to buy a Mac so you can publish it so 8 people can play it.
Yeah. Yeah. Nuts. Dude. It makes me always wonder because I've thought about this idea a lot, and I do think there are companies out there that do it, that essentially say, hey, Krass, I want to go ahead and allow you to use my Mac hardware to build your game and do all that fun stuff. So you can get it. You don't have to pay for it, but I'll give you a $5 a month fee to use my hardware to do that.
Right. So then every build you need to send to them so they can approve it and then put their
essentially it would be, I would say in my mind, it looks like a pipeline, right? It's like, cool, I'm done with my game. Let me send it off to this service that will build it, whatever. And then what I get back is a nice zip file of the bundled assets and like the executables, and we're good to go.
You know what's funny? I actually talked to somebody who's a good buddy of mine who has a Mac, and we talked about possibly doing that when the Catalina switch happened as a side business.
Yeah, so
I would procure people and then send it to him, and he would sign it and then bring it and notarize it, and he would send it back.
Yeah,
we had that as an idea, and then we're like, nah, it's probably people are already doing it. Yeah. People found out about it before we did, and they're already doing it, you know. So
yeah, no, for sure.
I was so mad when it happened, and I was. Like, it literally just, all Mac's doing is shutting down the Mac user database.
Yeah.
From them using games that now exist outside of Apple Arcade.
Yeah.
They're literally just, they're not screwing over developers, but they're hurting their people who care about their stuff.
Yeah. Dude, and so this is perfect. This is one of the big questions I wanted to ask you. This leads directly into that. So when you heard the news about Epic Games starting to file a lawsuit against Apple for the App Store, how does that make you feel as a smaller game studio compared to Epic Games?
Not my problem.
Okay.
I mean, just being completely honest, but
yeah.
I mean, how I feel about it is like, I mean, honestly, Epic doesn't have a right to sue them, but then they also do, because it's your game, you do what you want, kind of thing, right? But you sign paperwork with I signed paperwork with Steam to make sure I do everything through Steam. If I decided to do monetization and circumvent Steam to go send them to another website to buy things, that breaks the terms of service contract.
Right.
It breaks this, it breaks that. I deserve to get my game pulled.
Sure.
But do I have the best lawyers in the world and tons of thousands and millions and millions and millions and millions and billions of dollars to fight that? No. Does somebody like Epic do they have something to fight that? Yeah. And they go, what should we do? And the lawyers go, countersuit them. And I mean,
yeah. I mean, so I guess the big thing, and I feel like depending on the size of your studio, depending on the kind of the reach of your current titles and things like that, because this also applies to just apps in the App Store, right? This is not just totally defined in games, but what does the fact that Apple has this control in this sense kind of scare you to release things onto their platform, other than the fact that you have to obviously be a part of the Apple developer program and things like that?
No.
Yeah.
No, because it's honestly, they're just doing their due diligence to make sure that the stuff that they wrote into their contracts stay true.
Yeah.
I mean, and it's what there's the side of people who are pro Apple, the side of people who are pro Epic. I'm not really both. I mean, I really don't care for either of them. Honestly, I don't play anything on Epic. I don't use Unreal Engine. I don't do anything with Apple. I have no Apple devices in my house.
Yeah.
Right. So I don't care about the situation. But if I have to have a voice in it because we're streamers. People will ask us these questions. We have to have some kind of bias to it, because we can't. People are not going to come here and watch you if you go, "What do you think about it?" And you go, "I don't care." Right?
Yeah, sure. I think it depends, but yes.
Some people don't want to hear about it, so it's like it's one of those things where I've always heard you don't bring up 3 things on the internet. You don't bring up politics, religion, or sex, and that's pretty much it, right?
Sure.
So, I don't know. I mean, honestly, Did they shoot at Epic because Epic has money? Probably. They could have just taken it down and called it a day, right?
Yeah.
Or they could have reached out to them. They probably did reach out to them more than once on it, honestly, right?
Yeah.
So I don't really know. I don't know. I don't know what the right way to look at it is, because I'm not really part of the environment. It's hard for me to look at it from an outside look, outside eyes.
And that was actually kind of what I was trying to understand, right? As a more personal level, and anyone else who might be, starting to either start their own studio or even just build their own games that they might want to submit on the App Store. How does someone with your kind of at your level of your studio and the amount of games you have out, how does that affect you? And from what I hear from you and understand, it sounds like it doesn't really affect you much. And so people shouldn't be concerned about that currently right now. Steam
users are primarily and wholeheartedly PC.
Yeah, sure.
It's something like 98% of Steam users use PC.
Yeah.
Or use Windows. 1% is Mac OS, and less than 1% is Linux. So if you don't build your game on Mac or Linux, you're losing out on 1.2% of profit.
Sure.
Probably. Is that really going to be a problem to you? Right. So a lot of people just release their game on Windows.
Yeah. No. Right. And let me play devil's advocate here real quick.
No.
What if? Yeah. Sure. What if you look at it, it's the other way, where you say, sure, the 1.2% that is for Mac, there's barely anyone who plays on Mac. But what if you made a game that was in that top category? 1.2% of the 98 million monthly active users. It's a lot of people, right?
You're right.
Yeah. So I'm just curious to hear concepts around that,
Right.
Yeah.
Like the composer just jumped in the chat.
Hey, Watery Tart. How ho. How we doing? But yeah, no, great thoughts, man. So I'm gonna pull this back a little bit from kind of this, and I want to talk about more about your games. And the first question I want to ask is, creating the idea of a game is really hard to begin with, right? Like, I have a bunch of people that come to my stream all the time and say, what do I build? How do I come up with an idea? So for anyone who kind of has this thought in their mind, what would be your advice to them for how do I build a game? Like, where do I start with the ideation of a game?
So let me explain something really fast, right? Game design is an entire another world. You can make games all you want, but if you're not good at game design, you're not going to make games. Or you need somebody to help you create ideas, right? It really depends on how your mind works. Most of my games are thought up in my dreams. Like, literally. Like, I have a dream about the game, and I wake up and I write it down.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Most of my games happen that way. Stop Drop, which was a release that happened not on Steam.
Yeah.
It was a test on itch. It was an experiment on itch. It was a game I thought of everything. Like, to watch the code, the programming. I watched myself make the game and publish the game in 14 days.
Wow. Nice.
My days wrote it and did everything in 14 days.
Yeah.
So, like, I mean, and it was an experiment to see how important it is to be on Steam.
Right.
Itch is huge. Itch is enormous, right? There's like the racial injustice bundle on Itch that sold like $400 million.
Dude, yeah, it's crazy, for real.
And of course, that was because of BLM and people were supporting people. And, you know, I mean, it's one of those things where it's an outlier, right? Yeah. But then you look on the front page of itch.io and everything's a free game.
Sure.
So I was like, let me put a $1 game up on sale and see if it makes money. It's just $1.
Nice.
Right?
Yeah, I think that's a really interesting.
It didn't make money. It flopped. I didn't put any marketing into it. I'm not going to market a $1 game. Maybe I should have. Maybe I should have dropped $300 onto a $1 game.
Yeah.
That's a lot of sales to recoup the money.
Yeah, for sure.
So like,
your TLDR is have dreams about making games.
Well, no. even maybe not.
Totally just kidding.
But it really depends on what makes you tick.
Yeah.
What makes your mind work? What makes your mind think? What makes me think of ideas is playing games.
Yeah.
I've always heard that a difference between a good game developer and a great game developer is one who plays video games.
Sure.
Because a lot of people will spend time again making games, and they'll go, man, my ideas just aren't working. And I might ask them, do you play video games? And they say, I used to. Maybe you should start playing video games again. But I don't have time. I'm working on my games. Okay.
Yeah. That's okay. You bring up a really awesome point right here, because one of the biggest influences on me when I like to think of ideas for apps are kind of like, how am I going to develop this thing to make it friendly? The best way that I found is use other apps, right? It's like, hey, let me go through this thing, and you get a lot of inspiration off what people have done already, what people like, and then you can always add your take on that, right?
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, that's, dude, beautiful. So based off of that, how you create a game, tell us about the games that you have out in the store right now.
Sure. Yeah. So Nightfall is our first release. It's also called a freshman release. For some reason, the first 4 releases are equivalent to college years. That's kind of how it works.
Nice.
So the freshman release is called Nightfall. It is a top-down 2D hack and slash in a dungeon that you fell into, and you're a knight. So that's why it's called Nightfall.
Yes, that makes perfect sense.
Get back out of there. The game is currently on early access. It is currently shelved on hiatus until Chronicle is finished, and then we'll be picking that up. I had some issues where I didn't feel like I was giving my all in the art department for it. I didn't have somebody to be able to help me with the art for that game.
Yeah,
and it was also my first project. So I want to finish it. I don't believe in having games stay in early access for that long. That game has been in early access for too long. It's reaching DayZ levels of early access. So, it's a great game. It's not at the point where I need it to be. Right?
Okay. Yeah. Sure.
Life in Debt is our sophomore release, and that game is a finished game. It was released as a finished game, and it has. It's sold thousands of copies.
Awesome.
It's done really well.
Dude,
It's not done
that's a great
amazingly.
feeling. Yeah, it's a great feeling.
It's not done amazingly, but it's done well enough where I can say that the studio is successful because of it. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, or it's at least semi-successful.
Yeah.
Successful is, millions of copies, right? So, but that's a pipe dream. So
Sure.
I believe in the concept of make enough games where enough trickle income comes in so you can live peacefully. Right?
I see.
Instead of going for the one big game and making it, because you don't know if that's ever going to happen, right?
Yeah.
You don't know if you're going to be an Eric Barone who makes Stardew Valley in 4.5 years and rewrites it 3 times and ignores his girlfriend and right. Like, I mean, he did a lot of right and he did a lot of wrong in 4.5 years, and he's sold. I mean, Stardew Valley is one of the best games, the best farming games that's ever existed.
Yeah.
Really, right?
Yeah. Also, super random. Did you know that Stardew Valley is a game that's included in Teslas?
That's really cool.
Yeah. Yeah. They did an update the other day. There's Cuphead and Stardew Valley that you can play inside your car.
While you're on autopilot?
Not yet, but one day.
Sounds really freaking cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but yeah, Yagich, what's up, bud? How you doing? Is saying it was a Live and Dare submission. So Life and Death was a game jam.
Incredible.
It was a game jam game for a semi-annual game jam that happens where thousands of people play it, and enough people loved the game where we went, this needs to become a full game. So we did.
Dude,
so it had most of the game
nice.
complete in 48 hours, and then the 3 months was just polishing it, right?
Sure.
So, and adding more stuff to it and all that stuff.
Awesome, man. Yeah.
So, like, it's one of those things where Life and Death is just a game that just happened, and it's been in different bundles, and it's sold tons of copies, and it's, like, surreal to think that, like, you look back at it, and, like, we were, like, I looked at the person who helped me with the art for that game, and I went, this game sold 5,000 copies. Like, when that happened.
Yeah.
And she went, it's really weird. She's like, my art's on that game. Right?
I can't believe it.
Like, it's just weird.
Yeah.
Like, it just kept going. And it's like one of those things where it just keeps going. And every day there's sales. And
it's incredible. Yeah. You get the momentum, right? Sometimes the momentum hits and
$5, and of course you have Steam has an expected refund rate of like 12%. Sure. So it is what it is, right?
Sure.
Because people refund games for no reason. They'll play a game for an hour and a half, and if it's under the 2-hour mark, they'll still refund it. Just because they don't want to play it anymore.
Yeah.
So
cool. Awesome, man. Yeah. Is there any more games that you have out that you wanted to hit on?
So Chronicle Unit 8 is our junior release that came out March 16th. We talked about it a little bit briefly. It's a top-down space shooter, bullet hell, where you can destroy opponents' bullets.
Yeah.
So instead of having to dodge everything, you can shoot them down instead. And it changes up the style and the feeling of that kind of game. It gives you that open space and that kind of tranquility in a crazy game like that.
Totally. It
has a 300-point skill or 300-point perk tree, and it has weekly and daily challenges in it. And there's a lot of stuff, and all the games are supported by this freaking awesome soundtrack that exists.
Yeah.
Chronicle soundtrack is just literally insane. I've never heard a soundtrack of the quality that exists with it. I'm not saying it because he's in chat.
Dude, in my opinion,
really good, and all of this stuff's on Spotify, so you can check it out there too.
Heck yeah. Feel free to throw the Spotify link in chat.
Spotify.
Yeah, feel free.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah,
or your Bandcamp, either one.
Ooh, Bandcamp.
Yeah, you got all the stuff on Bandcamp too. So
beautiful.
If you want to support a composer, by all means, all of his stuff's there for sale.
Beautiful.
So, and then we had a 4th release, which is Stop Drop, and Stop Drop is a minimalistic survival puzzle game where you have to outplay your enemies and get to the exit before you run out of health. Right, and that was a 14-day creation.
Yeah, that makes me laugh because I remember one day you sent me a GIF of that, and I'm like, Krass, what is this? And you're like, bro, just look, I had a dream, and I'm just like, what? What are you talking about? And then I saw it, and I was like, whoa, this is actually pretty dope.
Yeah, it's really fun. I mean, and right now that game, because this is the 4th year, this month is 4 years of Static City games. So Stop Drop is on sale 50% off for the rest of the month.
Yeah.
And it's just $1. I mean, it's kind of crazy.
It is for
30
sure.
levels with a full map editor and a subreddit, so you can post your levels that you made, all for $1. It's kind of crazy, right?
It sounds like a great, like, there's just a lot of content for $1 is really what it comes down to, right?
I mean, normally it's $2, but are we talking, are we really talking apples and oranges at that point?
Right.
So I have
awesome, man. Yeah. Feel free to post it right there.
Oh, I screwed it up.
No!
That's at NYU. It's not a college. Let's get real.
We already talked about college on here. Come on now.
Stop dropping. Here we go.
Beautiful. Yeah, that great thoughts, man. Cool. So
now we have 3 active games outside of that are currently in development because I'm crazy.
I mean, the thing is that it's really cool to hear that you have a lot of ideas and they're constantly just coming, right? And I feel like that's, at the end of the day, it's, in my opinion, it's cool to work on things that you're really excited about in the moment, make them, send them out, and then you essentially just see what sticks, right? It's like you throw a bunch of crap at the wall and see which one sticks on the wall, and that's what you kind of just go towards.
Yeah, game ideas work, really.
Yeah.
As soon as the biggest point of what's the right word for this? The biggest key thing for you to actually realize what's going on is when you actually figure out your first game idea. Go back and figure out how you figured out how to make games. Right. How did you figure out how to get that game idea? And just keep doing that. And let your mind just kind of roll. A lot of people figure out games just from being outside.
Yeah.
Or playing other games, or doing this, or doing that. Wow.
This is the one.
Wow.
We got a special guest, huh? Yeah.
Did you see the wand on screen? I don't think you did.
No, but I heard a little voice.
So,
yeah, no, I think that's great, man.
So that's my train of thought.
Yeah, you're good.
Yeah.
So the last thing I wanted to ask you is I think one of the most important questions of this whole thing. If someone in chat right now or listening to this later on says, hey, Krass, this is freaking awesome. I want to start my own studio tomorrow. I want to build my own game tomorrow. What is your one golden nugget of advice for them to essentially start on immediately?
Be honest with yourself, right? Do you really want to go into the world of game development, which is a very, very difficult industry, or do you want to pick it up as a hobby?
Yeah. Right. Wow. Great thought.
If you pick it up as a hobby, cool. Dip your feet in, see if you like it. Don't expect to finish a game anytime soon because it's a hobby. People will work on the same thing for woodworking for years and never finish the piece.
Totally.
Because it's a hobby. So it really comes down to, and you might, right? There's a good friend of mine, Ghost Goods Games, who's on Twitch.
Yeah.
He pretty much does game development as I would call it a hobby because it took him a while to finish his first game, but he finished it. It's an Asteroid style clone that's also a bullet hell. It's really awesome.
Wow.
Go buy his game. It's going to be a Steam release on the 22nd.
Beautiful. Yeah, feel free to also, put a link, or if you have a shout out to the Twitch channel or anything along those lines. But yeah, man, I think that's, I find it really important, in my opinion, to do something along the lines of just being genuine to yourself for sure when you're building stuff. At the end of the day, build something that you would use, right?
Right.
Make a game that you would actually play.
Yeah. Well, and that's the biggest thing, right? When people walk into game development, they go, man, I'm so excited to start game development. What should I make first? And I go, man, most people say to you, they will go, make Pong, make Snake, make Space, make things that people have made before. And then people go, okay, cool. And they start working on it. They go, that's not what I want to work on. And they quit.
Yeah, sure.
I want you to make the hardest freaking thing that ever existed because your mind went crazy and when I want to make this ridiculous game. Dude, and then I want you to fail.
Yeah.
That's the weirdest take on that, right? I want you to fail at making that game.
Yeah, right.
So that you understand where you're at, right?
Yeah.
And then you can figure out how you need to get back to that point again.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I mean, the best way to learn is
people in a box, and you're putting people in you're forcing somebody into something that they don't want to do anymore.
Sure. And
that will stop somebody from ever creating a dream, and you would never know if that might be the next big game.
Exactly. I love that, man. I think that's some great advice for a lot of people.
I'm tired of hearing people say, man, start small, man, make small projects and just do jam games.
Yeah.
No, man. Make your own game. Have fun. Screw up a bunch.
There we go. Yo, right there. Those are some great words for sure.
It's get better.
Yeah. Awesome.
Sucking at stuff is how you get good at it.
Yeah.
Drink the water.
just be really crappy at something and you'll learn. But it's true, right? You end up learning along the way.
You have to suck at everything. Like when I picked up guitar for the first time, I wasn't good at it.
You weren't good at guitar? Like
12
me
years
for
later,
day
I still
one?
play guitar.
Yeah.
I'll play guitar 12 years later.
Heck yeah.
I'm better at it now than I was 12 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah, no, totally get it. Cool, man. Well, hey, that's kind of the end of the main topic of how to start your own game studio. Appreciate you being here, dude, for real.